What is up, Jabronis? JJ back here with Holden Kushner, as known as Holden Radio. Holden, I feel like every time we do this show, your hair looks different.
Correct.
It just doesn't look as metallic today.
Now, what does that mean?
It means that you probably haven't dyed it this week. Yeah, like there's a decent amount of grays. Like,
does your dad say bad words on those videos you do with him?
He says a lot of them, but that's on the Run Pure Bets channel. So what I've learned recently is that the Run Pure Bets channel is like the purgatory channel. Like the Run Pure Bets channel is like the disaster channel. Like it's the channel where it's like, you know what, do what you want, say what you want. This channel is a little more sophisticated, so I typically try to button myself up.
Have you ever watched one of my shows?
I have, and sometimes it goes down a bit of a rabbit hole, like a sexual one. But it doesn't really. I mean, oof. I mean, I put my dad.
Let me ask you a serious question. Why does everybody need to talk about my hair all the time? I don't mind it, but it's a constant source of conversation. I just don't understand it.
First of all, it's easy. So I think that
it's easy.
I think that a lot of people are going to navigate towards things that are easy to critique on individuals.
Okay.
Like for me, it's very easy for people to critique my apparel. Like you often critique my apparel.
No, that's true. You have the worst clothes ever. And tonight, it's nice. You bought a Hanes shirt, you put a Polo logo on it, and you tried to make it work. But that's okay.
It's a little tight, but some would say it fits. I do like to wear my clothes loose.
Do you?
I do.
That doesn't that's loose?
No. I want to be clear. I said that this shirt is tight. I like to wear clothes.
Can I see your nipples, please? Do they go through that shirt?
Do they show? I don't know.
I don't know. You tell me. Nah, no nipples. A little disappointing. But it's always tough being the handsome one on these shows.
Yeah, you're trust me, Holden. You're telling me.
It's a lot to live up to.
So look, I mean, not to brag, and I don't do this often, but 6-0 the last 3 weeks for me on this show.
Dude, you have been like player props, nothing. You kill that. You've been killing the team totals. I finally had a winning week. I'm so happy. If you played last week, you won a ton of money. You're still way up if you're fading me, and I highly recommend you continue to do that. But how about that, Jay? I mean, every freaking week, JJ.
I want to touch on our friend Swoop here. What a scam! $50 a month, outrageous. First of all, I don't even know what you're talking about. $50 for what specifically? Because if you're doing the DFS or the bets, it's kind of hard to imagine.
No, I was talking about getting a Hanji, and he's like, "That's outrageous." He's like, $50 is way too much.
Oh, so that's okay. So I'm not in the joke.
Yeah, that was about hand jobs. Don't worry about it.
So you've paid $50 for a hand job?
Well, that's what he said. He said it's a scam. Don't do it. I thought the going rate was 50. This Swoop thinks that it's something else. So. I don't know what the going rate is, JJ. You all right? You already watched it. I mean, what's going on here?
Yeah, I'm tough. I just took an edible like 15 minutes ago.
Did you seriously?
Yeah, it's starting to kick.
Oh God, I'm so upset.
You see how red I am? Look, like this is what happens when I take 5 milligrams. Look how red I am.
5 milligrams?
Yeah.
You took 5 milligrams. Oh my God. You know how much money I would save?
Yeah, I mean, these days I'm a bit north of 205 LBS. And 5 milligrams does a lot to your boy.
How is that possible? Oh, I know how it is. You don't do it that often. That's what it is, right? Just every other day.
Correct. So, yeah, 5 milligrams packs a punch for me. So, I mean, I think I told you the one time I got duped, and I accidentally did 25 milligrams, and I literally thought me and my wife both thought we were going to heaven. It was rough.
And that's the other thing. People want to talk about my hair and they feel obligated to tell me that they took edibles. It's just amazing the things that come my way these days.
Well, I didn't.
I want to get one.
I want to be clear. I wouldn't have said that had you not asked me what's going on right now. Because there's a lot going on right now in my head.
Are you going to get through this show?
I'll survive. The good news is the bets are already placed, and all I have to do is just regurgitate.
Now, can you take another half while you're on here? How long did it take to hit you, JJ?
So typically like 5 milligrams will take. So I'll start to feel it like I am right now, like a little bit at 20 minutes ish.
Okay.
And then by 40, I'm pretty much in good shape. And then from there, it's an hour after that. I can barely keep my eyes open.
At some point in time, we're going to talk about football bets, and we're probably going to do it very quickly tonight too. The game's coming up. I got to get my showdown lineups in. JJ's going to be tripping balls in about 15 minutes. It's going to turn into a debacle, but Nice Kevin agrees with this. 50 is a bit steep. And second of all, Trevor Bryan. Did you see what Trevor Bryan had to say to us?
Now I'm getting an edible.
Correct. And he said, don't eat. It hits so much faster.
Take it while you're eating.
Yeah, I think you take it right after you eat. Probably about 10 minutes.
Maybe. Do I start pounding this guy now?
What does that do for you?
That's it's called a meal replacement. You know, maybe you would know.
Why would you say it? Why would you say that to me?
I don't know.
Why?
Sometimes you're on the go.
I am furious. I gave my friend here in town some edibles. Okay. He's like, give me the edibles. And then what happened was I accidentally gave him all of mine. I have none left over for tonight. So now I got to go and get him myself for tomorrow.
Wow. Who has a tougher life?
Who has a tougher life? Absolutely. All right. Enough of the edibles.
Actually, you're in Colorado. They'll probably deliver them to you.
You know what? I live. All right. How do I say? Is it hoity-toity would be the word? It's a hoity-toity county just south of Denver. They do not allow any dispensaries in my county. Okay. So I got to drive 17 minutes to the Cannabis Superstore, which is just amazing. Over 200 strains, over 30 different types of edibles, all sorts of cool stuff. Probably the best dispensary I've ever been to.
Wow.
So it's a football show and you never lose. Now I can't find that damn Tampa Bay bet in the first half. What happened to it? It went away. It was 10 and then now it's 10.5. I can't bet it.
Yeah, the Twitter hardos will call it CLV. But yeah, I mean, to me, you know, I look at Tuesday, I see a line. Now, I know it didn't open at that. I know it opened with Tampa Bay being favored, quote unquote, sharp money, moved it to Baltimore being favored. But then, like I said, I look at Tuesday lines and I see Tampa as a home underdog. That's a bit ridiculous to me. And I prefer the first half over. Now, to me, it doesn't necessarily matter in that sense because, believe it or not, like Baltimore is now, they almost blew a fourth double-digit lead this past Sunday. It wasn't for a missed field goal late, or actually, believe it or not, a penalty. I don't know if you saw that game, but if that field goal was good, a penalty actually made him have to kick it again, and then he missed it the second time. Otherwise, they would have blown a fourth double-digit lead this year. But for me, it's your typical team in Tampa, travels on the road, 2 games in a row, comes back home on a short week. Seems like a good correction spot. I did say on Twitter yesterday, though, look, it's good to minus 125. That thing even got steamed up to 135 today at some points. I think it came back down a little bit. But look, the moral of the story is Tampa Bay should not have been a home underdog tonight. They could win, they could lose, but that line was wrong when they for a brief, I don't want to say brief period of time, it was definitely like 6 to 8 hours where they were a home underdog, but then it went away.
All right, we'll find out. Let's do the non-Thursday night, and then we'll get into Thursday night, okay? I'm going to start it off here. It's a high total. JJ's not going to like it, but I'm going Derrick Henry over 97.5 rushing yards this week. Oh my God, 97.5. That's a lot, but not for King Henry against the Houston Texans, my friend. Not so fast. First of all, the Texans are giving up the most rushing yards in the NFL. Their DVOA against the rush is right there. High volume matchup here for one Derrick Henry, who has run for 100 yards in 3 straight games. In the last 3 games against the Titans, I kind of do like the narrative where a guy just likes playing another team. I don't care if the roster's changed. It just seems to work out. This guy's gone for 211, 212, 250. He just murders the Texans over 97.5. And once they drop the lines, JJ, I'm probably going to throw a few single game parlays together. 150 plus a touchdown, 150 plus 2 touchdowns, 200 yards. I'm all in on Derrick Henry this week. Tell me why that's the worst bet ever.
No, I can't. I mean, granted, I don't love big numbers, and actually, believe it or not, one of the player props I have is a big number under.
No.
But with that said, it's not Derrick Henry. I think the matchup makes sense. The number, I think people sometimes see these big numbers and they get a little scared off. But look, the number, the game script, a lot of it makes sense. And Houston's coming off a game that I think was more competitive than people thought. Like, if you watch the game, like Oakland, Vegas pulled away late, but like that game was relatively close for most of it. And I always love, by the way, the DFS chat. Not sure if you saw it on Sunday. Like people crying about Josh Jacobs' lack of good game, and then like woof over felt like over a stretch of 15, 20 minutes, he just went absolutely bonkers.
Yep.
But in this spot, look, you can't argue with it. It seems like, and to your point, it makes sense. It just seems like every running back seems to crush against this defense. So look, you basically, as long as Tennessee's leading, you're going to get your 20 plus touches out of Henry in the backfield via the carry. So yeah, don't mind it one bit. I truly think at worst he's going to get close to the number. I think it's a good spot.
All right, what do you got for your first non-Thursday bet?
Yeah, so for me, I'll start with what I just mentioned, right? So a big number, right? Josh Jacobs under 109.5 rushing plus receiving yards against the Saints. Now, yes, you might look at the Saints and see a team that's given up a lot of yards on the ground recently. However, this team is much better against the run at home. I don't typically love home road splits or use it too egregiously, but I do believe this is a bit of an overreaction. I get it. Josh Jacobs has been really good, obviously been really good between the tackles. Not so much in the passing game, but I just think both numbers are high. I was going to bet his rushing number under. I think it was 89.5 or 88.5. But then I'm looking, and his receiving prop, I think, is 19.5. To me, both numbers are high. So I prefer to play them both together under. Gives you a little extra wiggle room for forgiveness. And I think people do this all the time. I think a lot of people might look at Josh Jacobs' numbers and be like, this dude's rushed for over 120 or whatever it is over his last 3 games. He's done it on the ground alone. But again, remember, this sport bobs and weaves. And Josh Jacobs 3 weeks ago, his rushing and receiving numbers were not this as far as what was being offered. This is about a 24.5 or 25 difference total from 3 weeks ago. The player did not change. The matchup is not superb. So I love the spot. I know that Vegas under McDaniels has been trying to establish the run with Jacobs, but this just feels like a spot where you can get Devontae Adams finally involved. You get this passing game involved. The Saints are just brutal to play against because their own possessions typically eat a ton of clock, especially when they end up scoring points on them. So look, I love the spot in a game that likely slugs. And I just think for Jacobs to get there, I think he's going to need 30 touches. I just don't know if he'll get there. So love the spot, 109.5 yards under rushing and receiving. By the way, it'll be my first under on this show. I think it's hard.
Ooh.
It's hard at this point in the week to bet unders, right? Because a lot of your numbers are soft in favor of overs.
There's certain guys I do it with.
Exactly.
When Marcus Mariota's numbers come out, I try and hit them as quick as possible. They just don't throw. If you go on his under attempts and completions and yards, and you've done it even over only the last month, you're profitable. I think it's pretty.
I can't argue that. So let me ask you this: who's your? And by the way, I was pounding my own chest. I'm pretty sure you had a pretty good week last week on this show.
Well, I said that at the beginning. I think the edible was kicking in. Whatever I picked was really good. You know what? The one you didn't like, once again, cash, and I'm going to do it again. It's just it's a way that it doesn't make sense to some people, and I don't give a damn. It's from the Broncos and the Jaguars. Okay, I'm going back. First of all, if Russell Wilson's rushing prop is anywhere at 10.5 or more, you bet the under. Okay, his hamstring is torn. He probably shouldn't play this week. He was trying to run before. Hackett admitted he had to change his game plan at the end of the game when Russell Wilson got hurt 2 weeks ago. So that's the number that I'm looking to drop. If it's at 10, I just don't think he gets to double digits. It's a round number. And then, I feel it's not because the hook, but then I see projections around there going and they're saying it's around 8 to 9 yards. I don't even know how many yards he can get.
Maybe briefly help some folks because it is correlated to DFS and we're obviously on a DFS channel.
Yeah.
Projections, where are you getting them from?
Oh, a lot. I have something that I plug in on RG. I know that my buddy John Paulson over at 4 for 4 comes up with his. I have a little thing that I do with player props. And then who is it? The Blitz is a good one. It's a good resource. It's not one where I don't use the optimizer. I do look at Derek's projections though. So there's 3 different projections I'll put together, and that's where they come up. So that's the first one. The second one you did not like last week when I took both teams under 2.5 touchdowns and both teams under 21.5 points in the Broncos game. The total at 39, sure. It's down 3 points though, if I remember correctly. So what I did was build a same game parlay under 24.5 team total on both teams and got it like minus 115. I think the number might have moved to 130 now.
Now I want to interject because
please,
I want to be clear. It's not that I didn't like the fact that you chose those bets in particular. I personally feel like it's better EV to just bet the full game under.
Correct. But now I kind of sort of built myself a 49 total from a 39 total. And I really don't see the path to either one of these teams scoring more than 2 touchdowns this week. I just don't see it. So listen, could it go over? Could the Jaguars, could it be like, if it's a 23-20 game, it goes way over, JJ. And I could see that happening. I'm taking both teams under 24.5 and I feel good about it.
Look, again, I can't mind the bet from I guess a surface level perspective, but again, a little more deeper rooted. I think long-term, you'll be more profitable just taking 2 units, if you will. And just
what do you mean? I've won two times in a row. Long-term? We don't look long-term on this show. Just look back 1 week and we just keep going to the next one, JJ.
That's it. Live life.
By the way, speaking of horrible advice, did you see this thing I sent out last night? This guy who's apparently a tout said that we got an edge on Vegas because don't forget, Vegas isn't interested in making money. They're only interested in breaking even. And this was a message to his new followers. And I thought it was a troll job, but then I looked at the guy's Twitter handle. I said, no, he was serious.
There's just so much satire like in this space. It's like,
but
it's
that's
hard.
Not satire.
It's almost serious. Like I obviously I didn't see it. And obviously you mentioning it. I want to believe that it's authentic in that sense, but there's like, I'd even argue, Holden, that there's so much satire and so much fake satire, like satire that's almost like to your point, where it's like, there's no way this guy was serious. Oh wait, actually, he probably was serious.
He was.
But like under the sheets, it's like I just realized that like you're in an age where infamy is just as good as being famous.
Almost. How's the edible going here? The kick in a little harder?
It's good. I think my job is to try to make it seem like anybody who didn't watch the beginning of the show that I'm completely sober.
Yeah, we can't anymore. Now it's in my mind. Talk to me here. What's your bet? What's your non-Thursday night bet?
So the other player prop I like this week is Deontay Johnson over 49.5 receiving yards. This is a soft number. Now, I know that he's gone under 2 weeks in a row, but if anybody that watches any of my content, you'll realize that these are the types of spots I love. This is a spot where against Philly, Pittsburgh's going to be playing from behind. And I've said this before, like I absolutely love Pickett as a quarterback for the Steelers. I know that you look at his peripherals and it's 2 touchdowns, 7 picks and the guy. But here's the thing. He is a gunslinger on an offense that sucks. They need somebody like him. Trubisky's a little too safe. I like the fact that Pickett gets in there and slings. And by the way, if Pickett decides to hit Deontay Johnson on that touchdown pass that he threw the pick at the end of the game, that's a $50K hit for your boy in Showdown. However, obviously it was picked off and it ends up being the opposite. But needless to say, I am a Pickett guy. I like him. Deontay Johnson has 30 targets over his last 3 weeks. This number is hella soft. I know that Pickett spreads the ball a lot more than Trubisky does, but in a game script that figures to play really towards the pass. And to me, Deontay Johnson is one of the few guys in the Steelers that's quarterback independent. If somehow Pickett starts slow and they decide to bench him for whatever reason, I don't think that'll happen. But for Deontay Johnson, it doesn't matter. This number is very soft. It's almost as low as it's been all year for him. A guy that in a game like this, it's going to be down all game. He's going to see double-digit targets. Really love the spot. I know him and Pickett haven't exactly been as in tune, quote unquote, as him and George Pickens have. But I just think you're getting a really soft number in a spot where Pittsburgh's going to throw all game.
For those of you not aware, JJ's on a super heater on this show. So when he says that he's betting something, I just blind tail him. So I got that. What was the Jacobs one? Was it 129?
109 and a half.
109 rush receive under.
Yep, DK.
Ooh, that's scary.
Don't watch the game because to your point, it likely will be scary.
That is scary, man. That is not. Well, that's what happens when you bet unders, though. Seriously, Like, you just don't want to watch the game. I am done now with my non-Thursday night picks. I got Henry when they post Russell Wilson. If it's 10.5 or above, go under. And then I got the Broncos Jags team total single game parlay 24.5 under on both teams minus 115. I'm thinking it's 125, 130 now. But what do you got for the Thursday night game? Because I got 3 plays.
Well, I can't imagine someone of your stature would think for even a second that I would fade Thomas, Edward, Patrick, Brady in a spot like this, right? I mean, I basically gargled the dude. So yeah, I big fan of the Bucks tonight. This is your typical get right spot for this team, this offense. With that said, you're not getting the best of the number betting them now. My favorite bet, believe it or not, was, and you already mentioned this at the start of the show, was first half over 10 at FanDuel. It has since gone to 10.5 minus 110. I can't mind it. I think you can do this a few different ways. So I know that you missed the buck, no pun intended, on the Bucks here waiting, but it wouldn't surprise. The Ravens have been one of the fastest starting teams in the NFL. As mentioned, Holden, they've already blown 3 double-digit leads this year, almost blew a 4th last week. It wouldn't surprise me in the least that Tampa is losing or trailing at half or even tied at half, and you can live bet them at a better number. But this really just feels like a spot where if Tampa wins the toss, they're going to elect to receive and just try to get something sparked with this offense. Their offense has been the biggest problem. And I say this often that, the best defense is actually good offense. I think that Tampa lost the last 2 weeks, not so much because their defense played poorly. Their defense was on the field a lot more than they should have been because their offense was playing poorly. If we can get a better showing from this team's offense, it'll likely result in their defense playing a little better. But with that said, Baltimore, despite, them not having any superstars offensively, I mean, sure, Mark Andrews, but for the most part, you look at this team, it's like Gus Edwards. It's a pretty odd backfield, and Lamar Jackson's not running as much as he once did, but it doesn't matter. This team is still, I think, 4th in the league in yards per play. This team's offense still continues to move the football downfield, and I mean, through the ground and through the air. This game in particular makes a lot of sense for there to be points. So I think maybe if you wanted, you can bet some alternate team totals over combined. Maybe take a play out of your page book or a page out of your playbook, Holden, where you take both team totals invertedly over, where you don't take their actual numbers, but you take a lower number over.
Yeah.
I do like that. I do like that spot. But again, for me, I did bet Tampa. I did bet Tampa first half in terms of the team total. I just know that right now, viewers aren't getting the best of the number right now. But yeah, if Tampa wins, I'm going to make money. So, if you guys want to bet them at a worse number, feel free.
I'll bet them live. That's what I'll end up doing. So I was waiting for Rashad Bateman to get activated here because I love Rashad Bateman's talent. I was hoping that they would post his longest reception under 24 yards. They ended up posting it at 19.5. So I'm going to hit this Rashad Bateman longest reception over 19.5. He's finally good to go. There's they held him out as long as they could until he got better. This is a guy that's crushed that number 2 of the 3 games that he was playing. And then you look at Tampa Bay, they get beat deep. That's their big issue here defensively. They are getting beat deep. So I'll take a stab on Bateman over 19.5 longest reception. Tonight, I've got Lamar under 210 pass yards. I know he's really accurate against the blitz. I don't think that, I got Bateman over for his long. Again, I'm doing this again, but I don't think Lamar gets over 210 pass yards tonight. I think this is going to be a grinder game for him. I do think he runs more. Here's the problem with his rushing prop, JJ, as I've told you, and this is 2 weeks in a row now. It went 56.5 and it went 57.5. And what happened? He went over that mark by like a couple of yards in the last minute of the game. It was such a sweat. This week, I look at his rushing opportunities, and it's sitting here at 9.5, close to plus money, or it was at plus money. It's got to be around even money right now. So instead of going with the yards, which got bumped up a few, I'll go over 9.5 rush attempts for Lamar, under 210 passing, the Bateman long reception of over 19.5. And the last one, this is an injury play. This is my guy, Dr. Chow, okay? And he has not come out and said it yet. But last week he told me, do not play Mark Andrews. The guy, his knees messed up. And I said, no, Dr. Chow, I will not listen to you. And he got a donut. So I saw him sprinting pregame, but I'm not buying it. He didn't practice one time this week. Oh boy, this number is not even close. You know, it was 60.5 before the Bateman news. All right, never mind with this bet. It's done. It's like in the 40s now. Okay. Sorry.
Mark Andrews' receiving prop is in the 40s.
Yeah. You want to go over on that now?
Wow. That's remarkably low.
I know. But at 60.5, it was like, no. Well, here, Bet Rivers, no. Bet GM at MGM is 51.5. I saw 48.5, 49.5, now 51.5 on Bet MGM.
Wow, that's really low. I do agree with your sentiment, though. I'm not going to try to play, household doctor, but I do agree with your sentiment that last week was, was weird, but you were right that something was off. It's only been a few days.
Yep.
But that number's short. And I will say last game they were up, they were leading the entire game. They really didn't need to do anything. I mean, think about it. Lamar Jackson threw for 120 yards last week. So it wasn't exactly anything crazy. I do think if they're going to beat Tampa, you're going to beat Tampa through the air. But with that said, let me ask you this, a different question. Do you know his snap count last week? I
did. I looked it up. I don't have it off the top of my head, but let me go back and look it up for you. And
70%?
the other thing is I've been watching every single Ravens game very, very intently, and they did hold him back to block because of the blitz. Guess who likes the blitz a lot? Tampa.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that wasn't it before last week, though? Even if before last week, I don't think he pass blocked on one single play.
He was healthy too, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. So,
all right, hold on. He's on Baltimore. So let's go look at the player snap app that I have here. And Mark Andrews last week was on the field 88%. It was his lowest of the season, but it was 88%.
Yeah, I can't argue it. I never like to try to play household doctor, but with that said, the evidence is what it is. He didn't have a single catch last week. It has to mean something.
Okay. Anything else you got?
Nothing crazy, except for the fact that I will say whenever I hear anybody doing two inverted plays like you have, what we can call uncorrelated plays, in terms of Bateman under his longest reception. And no, it was Bateman over his longest reception, Lamar under his passing prop.
Lamar over rush, under pass, Bateman over.
Okay. So exclude the rushing prop. I do always recommend folks to, if you like inverted plays like that, to parlay them, because the odds are much better on inverted or uncorrelated plays.
Okay.
So instead of betting them straight, parlay them.
Parlay that shit next time. Oh, I still got time for another same game parlay. But those are the three that I like there tonight. Those are the three I like. Bateman will get us a 20-yard reception. Lamar won't throw too much, and he'll run a ton. That's all I need to happen this evening.
Fair enough. I think this game has a lot of yardage tonight. I think that it's easy for folks to say, oh, there's going to be a lot of points in the game. But I think that there is some added variance when you start using that type of verbiage. I think that there will be a lot of yardage tonight. Will that result in points if turnovers aren't the case? I think it will. It just makes sense that a lot of these offenses, both of these offenses on a short week, should be able to move the ball downfield, specifically through the air. So yeah, I do like there to be points tonight, and I of course like Brady in a lot of things. Let me ask you: you said you're building showdown lineups. Who's your captain?
Well, Lamar's going to be one of them. Evans is going to be one of them, and Bateman's probably going to be the other one. How about you?
I did not play showdown tonight. I did make a few same game parlays though.
Yeah,
that would have been correlated to if I was to build showdown lineups.
What were they?
So I bet. So let's see. I fired on. All right, here's one. So FanDuel pays over 6-1. Brady over 250. Lamar over 200. Godwin over 50. Otten over 25. Bateman over 25. Tampa plus 7.5. Andrews over 25 in the game, over 39.5. You'll notice that a lot of these bets are all correlated. Brady over his number. A few Bucks receivers over their numbers. Bucks plus the points, or Bucks plus an alternate spread, and over. And again, I try to build these as if I was building showdown lineups, and then I have the run back, quote unquote, as Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
And basically a brief run back with Mark Andrews.
Okay. I like it. Yeah. I let me go see if I got one that I can share with you. If not, you'll just
I
have to
tell this to
find
folks all the
something
time,
else
like
to go get.
when you're building lineups, like to me, it wouldn't surprise if the Bucks were to win by double digits tonight, like 10-ish. I want to say double digits, I mean 40. But if the Bucks were to win tonight by more than 10, it would likely result in Lamar Jackson throwing the ball a ton. And when you build same game parlays, again, that's really what you're after. You're trying to find correlation that makes sense. And the same thing with your showdown lineups, right? You're trying to build a lineup that makes sense towards a script of how the game plays out. And by the way, Joey Work, I think you should do us all a favor and go ahead and get out of the tanning bed so that you can get a new YouTube photo. Am I right, Holden?
What happened to him?
I know he's burnt. He's like a lobster.
Oh, in his YouTube photo?
Yeah.
Probably didn't even notice it, the poor guy, until you brought it up.
No, he's noticed it because I tend to bring it up. And by the way, Joey, I mean, I'm from New York. I like to represent the New York Yankees. You're lucky for you. I don't represent the New York Mets. So
Joey, don't take anything personally he says. He's all hopped up on edibles and he doesn't mean it.
So little Woodale, is that supposed to be Wandale, but Woodale, is here for the showdown picks. Holden, maybe you can give him some.
I mean, you just want me to read from Tony's core? Because I'm not a showdown expert. That
wouldn't be fair. But how about you say where you're at?
I just told you my 3 captains.
But that's 3 cap. What the fuck? What does that do for me?
I don't know. Sign up for Run Pure Sports.
All right, fair enough.
I feel fine giving out bad betting advice. I don't feel good about giving bad DFS advice.
I will tell you this. If I was to play Showdown tonight,
Why
hypothetically.
aren't you?
Because for me, I like to do one or the other. I either do same game parlays that are correlated or I do Showdown. For me to do both, to me, it's a little silly, but it's all in relation to pricing. I like to consider myself somewhat disciplined. But in relation to tonight, I undoubtedly would have went all in on Tom Brady at the captain spot, which, by the way, was the main reason why I didn't play Showdown, because I couldn't find a scenario where it made sense that Tom Brady ends up in the optimal captain slot.
Okay. That's fine. Can I just build the rest of my lineups, please? Can we get out of here?
Sure. And Trevor, in regards to Deshaun Jackson stealing a 60-yarder to the house, maybe. Maybe. Holden's got to finalize his lineups. He's got 6 minutes. Let the poor guy breathe. Folks, as always, thanks for chiming in the chat. Joey Work, much love. The same way, it's mutual. Maybe not from Holden, but from me.
No, I love Joey Work.
Anyway, folks, I hope you all have a good night. Gamble responsibly. Stay safe. We gave you a bunch of picks for the weekend and a few picks for Thursday night. So with all that said, I hope you all run pure. See you guys next week.